Welcome to Nextflix, your quick stop for movie recaps. Get all the highlights and mind-blowing twists in just minutes. The events start in a city 27 years later. We see two friends playing in the amusement park, having a great time together. Then a rude kid, like a piece of salty cheese, comes along and annoys them. Just as they were about to insult him, they saw their friend from afar, so they stopped and walked away. But his friends go and beat him up to teach him a lesson. But instead of calming down, they carry one of them to throw him into the sea, even putting a hat on him to make him look stylish for the fish. And then they throw him in the water. After a while, his friend goes down to search for him everywhere. He finds the clown carries him and saves him. But suddenly, he bites him, and he eats his heart. At that time, we see Mike, who is grown up. He hears about the incident on the radio and decides to go to the scene to find out what happened. He suspects the clown has returned. As soon as he arrives, he realizes that there's truly a disaster. Mike is the only one left from the group in the city. The rest of the group has scattered to different cities for work. He calls them one by one, asking them to come as soon as possible. But he doesn't tell them the reason. He waits for them to figure it out on their own. One of them, out of sheer fear, kills himself because of depression and fear of facing him again. We see Billy, who has grown up and become a world-famous writer and filmmaker. But he's married to a crazy woman. We also see Eddie, who's a diligent employee at an insurance company specializing in accidents. He had an accident on the road. We see Richie, who, after hanging up with Mike, gets a stomach ache from fear when he realizes the clown is out. He was working as a stand-up comedian, and his performance was about to start in seconds, so he had to focus before going on stage. We then see Ben, who used to be chubby, but has completely changed and become a stylish young man with his own global company. He had a lot of money. But Beverly, she got married, but her husband has mental health issues, poor thing. He made her life miserable. She answers Mike's call, who tells her, "We're all meeting tomorrow, and you must be there." In the middle of the night, she packs her bag. And as she's about to leave, she's surprised by her husband. He beats her severely. But she hits him on the head, leaves the entire house, and walks away. We flash back to the time when Henry killed his father. As soon as he returned home after that incident, the authorities arrested him and put him in a mental institution. Returning to the present, he's still locked up and hasn't recovered. In fact, he's become even crazier. When he sees the clown's balloon, he gets excited and jumps around the window like a monkey. They forcefully take him back to his room, where he finds the same balloon. But as soon as he pops it, he's surprised by this ghost inside. He gets scared and backs away, but the ghost says, "Don't be afraid. I'm Jimmy, your old friend from the bully gang." He gives him a knife and says, "You must complete your mission." At night, we see the group meeting for the first time in 27 years. They ask about Stanley, unaware that he killed himself. They talk about their lives and where they've reached. Mike interrupts them, saying, "We're not here to tell stories and laugh. There's a disaster. I've gathered you because the clown is back and plans to take revenge. A more severe revenge. We must finish him off and kill him before he goes back into the sewer. We're not waiting any longer." As soon as they leave the restaurant, they call Stanley to check on him. His wife tells them, unfortunately, Stanley died in the bathtub while bathing. They get extremely scared by what they hear, and ask Mike to forget about the clown and live a normal life. Then they all leave him and walk away. Mike says to one of them, "I want to tell you something important. I've gathered information about the clown. If we use it correctly, we'll get rid of him forever." He takes him to the library where he lives and shows him an ancient artifact, saying, "The story started here. This artifact belongs to a tribe called Shankobo. Drink this magical water, and you'll see everything clearly." Suddenly, he sees a ghost being trapped in the artifact. And we understand that this was the clown before he took on his current form. The only way to get rid of him is to recite the same spell and trap him again. The next day, the group gathers again. And Mike tells them how to get rid of the clown with the spell. But for the spell to work, each person must bring something valuable from their past. Beverly immediately goes to her old house, where all her memories are. She finds an old woman who bought the house, but she's hard of hearing. She goes to her old room, opens a hole in the wall, and finds a letter she had kept from Ben during their school days, which was very dear to her. Suddenly, the old lady transforms into a ghost. And we realize it's the clown trying to kill Beverly. But she escapes the house at the last moment. We then move to Richie, who arrives at the PlayStation shop. He used to play it as a child, a place he loved deeply. Sweet memories in it. He finds a coin he used to pay with in the past and takes it as it holds a special memory for him. Then he sits in the park, enjoying the fresh air and the beauty of nature. But the clown appears and ruins this happy moment for him. He says, the clown starts approaching him, trying to scare and control him. But Rich escapes the place. We move to Billy, who takes his bicycle and returns to his old house. He reaches the storm drain where his brother George used to sit. When he looks inside, he sees George offering him a boat and saying, "Take me from here." He stretches out his hand and pulls the boat. Suddenly, children's hands grab him, but, thankfully, he escapes and takes the boat. He sees a child standing and tries to advise him, saying, "If you hear voices coming from the sewers, never approach them no matter what." Eddie reaches the pharmacy where he used to get his medication and suddenly remembers his childhood. He hears his mother calling him. He enters the storage room and finds her tied up. He tries to untie her, saying, "Don't be afraid, I won't leave you no matter what." Suddenly, a ghost approaches him. He runs and leaves her behind. On the other side, Billy talks to Beverly about her work. He is surprised to see the skateboard of the child he advised earlier. He notices that the clown has written a message in blood, saying, "This child is mine, and I will kill him." Determined, Billy says to Beverly, "I must save this child at any cost." Meanwhile, Eddie is washing his face after running away from them. He convinces himself that it's just a dream. Suddenly, Henry arrives, stabbing Eddie in the face with a knife. Eddie tricks him and stabs him in the stomach. Eddie runs out of the bathroom, shouting, "Help me, help me. My mouth is torn." Beverly reassures him. Ben enters the bathroom and sees Henry jumping out of the window. Seeing him triggers a memory of the past when Henry carved into his stomach with a knife. Henry escapes. On the other side, Billy reaches the carnival and starts searching for the child everywhere. By coincidence, he sees the child entering a ride with a friend. Billy tries to save him before the clown appears. Thankfully, after much effort, he reaches the child's location, but a strong glass separates them. Suddenly, the clown appears and, unfortunately, eats the child in front of Billy. Meanwhile, Mike is in the library. Henry with a knife, trying to kill him. Just as Henry is about to stab him, Mike gives up. But Rich hits Henry on the head, killing him. The group reunites at the library and calls Billy to check on him. Billy tells them what happened and says, "I'm heading to the abandoned house at the well. I must kill the clown at any cost." Mike tells them, "We must catch up with him and perform the ritual in that abandoned house." Shortly after, Billy reaches the house, and before entering, the group catches up with him. They say, "We'll go in together." They enter quietly, their hearts filled with fear. Suddenly, Ben feels pain in his stomach, and blood starts pouring out. He sees a reflection in the mirror and realizes the clown is causing it. Then they see their friend Stan, who had committed suicide in the bathtub. He transforms into a spider and attacks them, but, thankfully, they fend him off and get rid of him. After that, they head to the sewer pipe, getting closer to the clown's lair. Upon arrival, they begin the ritual to trap him. Mike sets the ancient artifacts on fire, and each of them offers a valuable item as a sacrifice. They hold hands, and Mike starts reciting the ritual. The clown begins to transform into lights and descends into the artifacts. Finally, Mike manages to trap him. But a red balloon appears, growing larger and larger until it bursts. The clown reappears, saying to Mike, "Your silly ritual failed. Your words won't work on me." The clown grows in size, becoming massive, and chases them with full force. The first person he wants revenge on is Mike, the one who performed the ritual. Suddenly, the group finds themselves in different locations, all terrifying places where they had traumatic experiences in the past. The clown does this to instill fear in their hearts and finish them off easily. But they overcome their fears and return to reality. At that moment, the clown grabs Mike and is about to kill him, but Rich throws a rock at his head, distracting him. He lifts the clown off the ground, expose him to the light, and suspend him in the air. Eddie throws a spear at him, hitting his head and feeling relieved to have finally defeated him. But to their surprise, the clown is still alive and stabs Eddie in the stomach. Before dying, Eddie tells his friends, "I want to tell you one last thing. Try to strangle him to weaken him." They agree to make the clown feel ridiculous and weak. Mike says, "You're just a clown." The clown gets upset and becomes increasingly distressed, his powers weakening and fading because they're no longer afraid of him. His size shrinks until he's tiny, and he becomes terrified of them. His heart beats like that of a frightened child. At that moment, they rip his heart out of his body, finishing him off completely. The clown's body begins to dissolve and disappear entirely. Afterward, they check on Eddie and rejoice that the clown is dead. Sadly, Eddie has passed away. The next day, they notice the scar on their hands has disappeared, realizing that the clown is gone forever and won't return after 27 years. They succeeded in freeing the town from his curse. The movie ends with this scene. If you like the video, Subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an updates. See you in the next video.